Do my eyes look to have a little sparkle in them today? A little extra special sauce there? Well, it's because I finally saw a great film, snapping the stinker streak of Joker 2 and Megaflopolis. God bless. I saw Transformers 1. This has been one of the most highly requested things I've had all year. Like, second only to people requesting that I get taller or cut my hair. People really love this film. It has a lot of hype. And apparently it hasn't been performing that well at the box office, which is just a fucking shame. Because it lived up to the hype. I actually liked it a lot. I planned on seeing it 2 weeks ago when it came out, but unfortunately my ass was getting cooked like a Thanksgiving turkey by COVID. So I wasn't able to go, but I went and saw it today and I liked it a lot. I do think this is one of the better Transformers movies that's been made. Like, period. I'm not just talking about like animated Transformers. I mean like of all Transformers movies. It's just super solid. And I think the trailers and the marketing for this film did it a huge disservice. I think the reason why it hasn't gone like fucking Bazinga style at the box office is because a lot of people thought that this was purely a children's movie. Like all the marketing material made it seem like something you'd see on, Disney XD. And that's just not really what it is. When the first trailer dropped, that's what I thought it was. I thought it was mainly like a kids movie, which is fine, but it's not. The marketing team really did this dirty. Don't get it misconstrued though, this isn't like some kind of R-rated grim dark universe Transformers films for adults only. You're not gonna have titties and blow and grease or anything here. You're not gonna be watching Optimus Prime dealing with PTSD after witnessing war crimes or anything like heavy, but it is a film that can be enjoyed by anyone of all ages. Same way I feel about Puss in Boots Last Wish, Puss in Boots 2. That is a film that is just really good and just happens to be a family-friendly film. Now let's dive into the meat here. Transformers 1 is the origin story, basically, for Optimus Prime and Megatron. In this film, they're not Optimus Prime and Megatron yet. You see how they were like close friends. They started as fundamentally nothing. They were mining bots, and they go on this big buddy adventure, and it leads to what the characters eventually become. And what really works well for this movie is the characters are good. Not just Optimus and Megatron, but the surrounding characters as well. Like Bee, like Alita, like all of these characters are just fun. There's a lot of joke slinging back and forth, but not to like the criminally cringe level of Marvel where it's always there, even in moments that are supposed to be emotional. In this movie, yes, there is a ton of jokes. Yes, not all of them are going to land. But when there's an emotional beat, they don't bother to break it apart, wipe their ass with it like Marvel does by just throwing in like a little fucking half-baked AI-generated zinger. And I really appreciated that. That was very refreshing because I thought that's where this was going to go. It has a very simple plot, like it's nothing new. It's a story we've seen a million times, but now with Transformers. But it works super well because Optimus and Megatron, they build up that relationship really well in this film, and they tear it down really well too. So getting to like the climactic conclusion where we all know what's going to happen, we know what happens with Optimus and Megatron, they end up being at odds and they fight each other constantly. Getting to that point is such a good journey. There's a lot of really good action sequences in here, even like a really entertaining race that Optimus and Megatron enter, even though they can't transform. So they have to get really creative with how they try and win this race, and it's a huge fucking deal. And that entire sequence is really fucking fun. This is going to seem like an insult, but it did kind of remind me of Spy Kids 3D with that race, but done super well here. Like, I'm not using that to try and bring it down. It's just I love that. And that's always the first thing that pops in my head is that Spy Kids 3D race, that godforsaken sequence. But in Transformers 1, that race is so entertaining. Like, they're using jetpacks in the beginning. Then they're running on feet, but since they can't transform, they're getting fucking blasted by everyone. Then they have to use a couple of other really creative measures to try and get themselves back in the race. There's traps, there's obstacles. It's just a good ride. I've always had a soft spot for the Transformers property ever since I was addicted to Beast Wars as a kid growing up. So seeing a movie like this was just really refreshing. It really felt like a good time. And there's not a lot that I didn't like about it. Yeah, I wasn't, grabbing at my stomach like hardy har har, laughing out loud at every joke or anything, but I was still highly entertained. And this is probably cope, but I'm hoping that now that we've had a movie about, the beginning of Cybertron and all that, maybe we can revisit games like War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. Those games were such bangers, and it's a shame that they haven't received any kind of like remaster or anything. But I don't think that's gonna happen just because of this movie or anything. But I wanted to throw that out there. Those games fucking slapped. Anyway, though, I liked Transformers 1 a lot. It lived up to the hype. I definitely think it's worth watching, for sure. Even if you're not a fan of Transformers, it's a fun, short movie, which is rare. You usually don't have any movies under 2 hours anymore. This one is not 2 hours, which is nice. It doesn't overstay its welcome. You get exactly what you want. A lot of action, a fun story, good characters, and it all looks great because the visuals are pretty top-notch for the movie. So yeah, Transformers 1, it was good. That's about it. So yeah.